Work experience. Most important part of your resume, by far, you need to identify all the work experience that you've had. If you've been an RA, if you've worked on grounds crew, if you've done anything where you've been paid, it counts as valid work experience. Again, you're setting yourself apart from many other students at other institutions by doing it this way, and by being able to say that I worked full-time or part-time and also went to school at the same time, plus the many activities that many of you are involved in. It paints a really full picture for the employer that you're able to multitask, you're able to manage your time effectively. Again, it communicates a lot of things to them by listing those things out. My challenge for you is to think about the framework with which you list them. So again, on grounds crew, and we're going to talk about this in a second too, don't just say I cut lawn or mowed lawn, I trimmed hedges, I edged the sidewalks at JBU, but think about the soft skills behind that, because that's what's transferable. At least I hope that most of you are not going to be mowing lawn for your future career after leaving JBU, even though some of you may. That landscaping may be where you're at. But the reality is that many of you are going to say, no, I'm going to go work for corporate America somewhere, or I'm going to go work for a nonprofit that I'm passionate about. Those are great things, but it's important for you to help translate those experiences. So when you think about weed eating, I guarantee that at some point your weed eater stopped and you had to figure out and problem solve to get it started back up again. So demonstrated ability to problem solve by fixing weed eaters when crises arose or when the machines broke. Many of you, if you did grounds crew or cafeteria for several years, you were promoted to team managers or leaders. Again, those would be important things to highlight within your resume to let people know who are reading that it wasn't just at an entry-level position the whole way, but that you actually advanced in the time that you were there. So within each work experience, you need to have the job title, the company, the city, and the state of each job. At this point, one of the trends I've watched coming in recently has been also including references and phone numbers. That doesn't go in this part of your resume, but just the general information about the job and then the dates that you work. Typically, month and day is what you need to have. If you're a family and human major looking at social work or working for Department of Human Services somewhere, to realize that they want the day, the month, and the year. They also want a very general resume. They want everything that you've ever done because it all counts towards that experience. Everyone else needs to have a one-page targeted resume, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But you need to also talk about the current responsibilities in present tense. So if you're currently doing things, that needs to be present tense. You may have completed a project or two within that, and that can be past tense as long as you've got a couple of them. So if you've only completed one project in a job that you're currently doing and everything else is listed in present tense, go ahead and transition that into present so it doesn't look like you've made a mistake. But if you've got 2 or 3 projects that you've completed in your present job, you can list in present tense those things you're currently doing, and then past tense the 2 or 3 things, or 3 or 4 things that you've completed already. Describe previous responsibilities in past tense. Begin each phrase with an action verb. If you go to our career development website on the resume page, over on the right-hand side, there's a PDF of really good action words. There's also a great PDF of soft skills. So if you question what I'm talking about, things like critical thinking, problem solving, ability to communicate, working on a team, those are all soft skills. And those are things that employers can't train you with because it costs them too much. And so if they know that you're already preloaded coming to them with that kind of experience and ability, you become much more marketable to them. Please use bullet points for each point in your resume. And again, you need to make sure those bullet points are well spelled out. I know there are some recruiters around that have told our students it needs to be in paragraph form. I really would push back. The reason that they're saying that is people do a really poor job writing their bullet points. So again, they become very functional. I mowed lawn at JBU. I washed dishes in the cafeteria. That doesn't tell them anything about you, where a paragraph for them tells the fuller story. Your job is to communicate the full story with those short bullet points, and hopefully they're power bullet points for you at that point. Things like demonstrating the attention to detail by making sure every dish was clean and put away at the end of each meal time, or making sure all the cafeteria chairs were pushed up to the table and the floors and tables were clean. Again, you're demonstrating soft skills as a part of that, and that's what those employers are looking for. Don't just list responsibilities again, but list the skills behind them, the soft skills, and tailor the information to the position you're applying for. So all of your job descriptions, in terms of the order that your bullet points are listed, need to match up with their job description. When they put out a job description, they do it with intentionality. Typically, they list the things that they're most interested in at the top of that job description and then work their way down. Your resume needs to mirror that. In fact, you really want them to be able to take your resume, their job description, put them together, and start checking off all the things on their job description, saying, yep, they meet this, they meet this, they meet this. Then they can't not bring you in for an interview because you've met everything they're looking for. What they will not take time to do is to actually go through and interpret your resume, to try to figure out what you mean, read in between the lines. So again, you need to be very, very overt, very, very intentional with the way that you communicate those things in your resume, to be very, very blunt with them and very forward with them in that, so that they know that you actually have those skills, abilities, that you've had those experiences, and they're able to bring you in with confidence.